The OG,
I'm back.
the OG crew.
We had to bring it. We had to go to the OG crew for an OG performance tonight.
Yeah, here to exactly a
Vintage over the last
yeah,
2 years.
Hoodie show.
vintage
Get the hoodie
Celtics
going.
performance. A couple things we want to talk about. LinkedIn Talent Solutions, our sponsor. Go to linkedin.com/garden to post your first job for free. It's always cool. And then calm. Try to stay calm.
Yeah. You know what?
Calm.com/garden. 40% off. We're calm. We're way past calm.
We're super calm. There's
Yeah.
a couple
We're
Celtics
in
players
times like
that
these.
a couple of Celtics players that might want to create LinkedIn logins because they might be looking for a new
Yeah,
job soon.
new
They may want to
jobs.
hit up linkedin.com/garden.
There were a lot of
That was a
email
great
LinkedIn.
joke
Yeah.
from Wednesday, Jimmy. That's
Yeah.
how many
Oh,
games
really?
you've seen like this.
Damn.
There were a lot of
Shows you
email
how many shows
LinkedIn
I watch.
jokes. Yeah, a lot of email LinkedIn jokes. Celtics lose.
Ime is not my target tonight.
Oh, well, get ready.
No, mine
Jimmy.
is Dennis Schroeder, but I'll get to him in a minute.
It's
Me
gonna be
too.
a good
Yeah,
show.
me
It's gonna be a
too.
good show.
So I want to make sure we lead
It'll be
with
good.
Schroeder.
Yeah. Hashtag blame Dennis Schroeder when all goes wrong. Celtics,
Is Bobby blurry for anyone else or just me? Because I'm hoping that he fades off and we lose connection.
I
'Cause
wasn't
blurry.
going to say anything because I've been there, but yeah, he is.
I don't want to
blurry.
hear any Schroeder hate. From
He's
Bobby
blurry.
tonight.
Bobby, focus up before you dig in on Schroeder.
I look fine on my end. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I bet you do. I
He
bet
can't
you
do it. He
do.
has no control over it, man.
It's like Bobby Bobby like come home from the bar. I thought I was fine. Like I don't know what happened. Like I was
Oh,
fine.
all
on
right. You're
my
going
end.
to be the one to say that.
When you
huh?
think it's not going to go away, it'll clear up. Just don't think about it.
Yeah, Josue is an expert. Listen to him. He knows all about poor connections. Dude.
All right, let's get into it. John knows where I'd start. I'm going to punt it to him. Where are you starting?
No, where are you going to start, Bobby?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not starting with Schroeder, but where are you going to start, John?
Where am I going to start?
Yeah.
Where aren't you
look,
going to start?
If you're looking at individual targets, you would look at the horrible games had by basically everyone, but certainly Marcus was brutal. Al was bad. Rob was terrible. I mean, it was a bad game all around. Just problems. Teams got problems. There's no secondary scoring. You're relying on Tatum and then Dennis Schroeder to play kind of, get out of my way basketball. And it's the only way they score points. I know everyone's like, what happened to the defense? Like, fine, great. They scored 90 freaking points, guys. Like come on. This offense is sick right now. They are.
It's very sick. And not the good sick. Not pH
there
fat.
Is no offense. There's nothing going on here. This is a team that can't shoot. They don't move the ball very well. And you're without Jaylen Brown. And, these last few games, I know everyone's like, where is the defense gone? It's just the offense just is just, nausea inducing right now. It's so hard to watch it. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
So
and everybody's included in that. That's Smart. That's Tatum, and it's Schroeder.
It's mostly Schroeder. Mostly.
You don't have a point.
It's the Schroeder-led Celtics.
On a night like this. Like, you just do not have somebody who's looking to create easy shots like Chris Paul was for the Suns in this one. And you're looking at it becoming the bane of this team. I mean,
I understand that,
but a great run. He's
I understand
in that sense. Someone else has to step up. They
didn't. Here's the problem is this. You're looking. The problem we have with the Celtics, I think fans have with the Celtics, is they're looking for answers that don't exist. If only they could blank. If only they start knocking down shots. When they start knocking down shots, what leads you to believe this team's going to start knocking down shots? They're not good shooters.
The law of averages.
If only they had better. If only they had better point guard play. They don't have a point guard. They don't have a natural point guard. They have a guy they've shoehorned into the position in Marcus Smart, who did get better a little bit as the season went on, but he's not a true point guard. He's not a scoring point guard. And then you have Dennis Schroeder, who does one thing. He gets the ball and he gets to the basket.
Who has the ball the most on this roster?
And he scores.
Yeah, but I feel like, guys, in the beginning of this game, though, I didn't get the sense that they were even trying to do that. I mean, Jason Tatum, I felt like had blinders on. And whether guys think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I mean, it was almost reminiscent of the beginning of the Lakers game when he scored 14 in a row. but it didn't resonate with the rest of the offense. Everyone sort of tried to do the same exact thing. It seemed
Here's
like
the thing, Josue. I mean,
Schroeder and
he
Smart.
gets.
Hold on a second, Bobby. Schroeder and Smart. They do a good job of distributing the ball in times. At times when the team really needs them to do that. But they're not enforcers, or at least they don't do it enough. And when you have someone like Marcus Smart who was ice cold and couldn't get it going, offensively, I felt like he sort of resorted back to those bad habits. And then when he started to swing the ball more often, it was already a 16, to 20-point hole that they already dug themselves into.
Yeah. And if you're looking at the hierarchy of the ball handling, I know we have this picture in our mind of Smart's the point guard, Schroeder's the sixth man who comes in and does some stuff, and Tatum's being looked at as the tone setter on offense. Really, Schroeder, minute for minute, game for game, has the ball in his hands most on this roster. In part because he's become their go-to guy in many situations here, but at the same time, he's pounding the rock a bunch. He's attacking head-on, which is good in some circumstances. But in a game like this and in a game on Tuesday, this is the exact same thing I said on Tuesday. You need the guy with the ball in his hands the most to look to other people. I mean, he had 3 assists, 3 turnovers in this one. Other guys didn't make the right passes, which I know John's going to point out there. But who has the ball in their hands the most? It's Schroeder. And he has a decent scoring game. He's aggressive. Those things are good. But at some point, you got to look to somebody to step up in that regard. And we talk about Smart all the time. He's done a great job with it for the better part of this season.
Again,
and Tatum, he's doing what he can in that area.
It's like
and
getting mad.
Plenty of criticism for it.
Look, this is like having a friggin' pet tiger and getting mad when it eats you. Like Dennis Schroeder. This is what Dennis Schroeder does. He is a friggin'.
That's a new one.
You're asking for him. You're asking for him. There's 2 things you do.
He's the one
why
guy
doesn't Tatum get a
pass
pass for the same reason?
When you put Dennis Schroeder on the court, you're putting him on the court to score the basketball. You are not putting him on the court to be the distributor. It's not what he does. So your option is put him out there and love the fact that he can get you offense when most people can't, or don't play him. You can't put him out there and say, be a different person. That's his role. That's what he does. We gotta stop talking about Schroeder pounding the basketball. That's what he does. He's a specialist. Okay.
Yeah,
he's not a distributing point guard. It's just not what he does.
But it's not
because Bobby, when Jaylen Brown's not out there, they need him to be that guy. They need points from
They need
Schroeder
the points. So
in
order to do that, he has to create in this way.
That's what he does. Isn't the reason they lost this game because they didn't get the ball moving, they didn't create quality shots, and they were stuck in isolation?
When they did, they missed them. We're back to square one with this. We're back to the whole move the ball around for an open 3 that you're gonna miss. Okay, when you made 4 friggin' threes on the night,
and you're not getting stops.
Ball movement doesn't mean shit. It doesn't.
Right, you hit 4 threes. You shot 15% from. We can do we're gonna do an hour plus show, but like at the end of the day, you just can't hit shots. It's a make-miss league. We can just start and end the show like that every time, but you stink at shooting. And yeah, Bob, you're right. There are some shots that had to be forced, and maybe because of that we're lower percentage. No, hold on. But it kind of reminds you of Kemba last year. Everyone bent over backwards to try to turn Kemba into a player that he just wasn't. And yeah, the injuries were part of that, but Kemba Walker was a scorer. He wasn't this guy who was going to play defense and be the flashy pass and all those things. Dennis Schroeder is similar. Dennis Schroeder is similar though. You can't just expect a guy to completely change his game. You brought him in to be Dennis Schroeder. You got him for the money aside. Even if you're paying him $15 million a year, put the money aside. Dennis Schroeder is Dennis Schroeder. He's not going to change who he is. And when he's in the game, I'm sure Ime understands the type of player that he's putting in this game. And so do his teammates. And you know what? You need Dennis Schroeder to be Dennis Schroeder. And if that means a couple of stupid turnovers, that means he rolls the ball up and everyone pulls their hair out because, oh my God, Dennis Schroeder's rolling the ball up the court. It means absolutely nothing. You can't argue that it makes the Celtics worse when he rolls the ball up the court. It's off of a point or a turnover from the other team. So they're already set on defense anyways. And he's just giving your offense more time to find a better shot and move the ball around like you want them so badly to do, Bobby. So I'm so sick of talking about Dennis Schroeder rolling the ball up the court. It means absolutely nothing in a negative standpoint. All that being said, Dennis Schroeder is going to be Dennis Schroeder. And I am so sick of trying to make him into something that he isn't. He's what you need right now, especially with Jaylen Brown out. We knew this season, when the season started, we said, if Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, either one of those guys gets hurt or isn't in the game, you're not built to win. Any win you get with those guys off the court is a blessing. And they did win a few early on with Jaylen Brown out. They went out west, and they're just not good enough. You're not deep enough. Even with Schroeder carrying the load as a second scorer, as he
I
has
think
been,
you're good enough in a game. It's
you're
not even
not good
about win or
enough.
lose,
You're not good
though.
enough. You just
It's
lost
not
by
about-
30.
You just lost to the Suns, who were without Booker, Ayton, and Chris Paul. Honestly, looked
It's
like
not
he
about
didn't
win
give
or lose.
He didn't give a shit. Chris Paul
is.
took
Light work.
tonight.
It was a scrimmage.
Chris Paul took
with Chris
tonight
Paul.
off. He was like,
Yeah.
I'll mess with this guy right now. And then it's like,
Yeah.
I'll let my friends score. He let campaign frigging dance all over the Celtics tonight. Like, just for fun.
That's the
You
point.
do a lot worse than campaign. I like
That's
campaign.
the point. You don't have to necessarily win this game, but you play good enough defense in the second half.
That's better
to
than
compete.
Boston going off on you.
And you're not allowing the coach to instill what he wants to instill, which I think we've talked
Again,
about as a
how are
problem
we
throughout
not
this
talking?
year.
Yeah, how are we not talking about
7
Marcus
guys
right now?
in double figures for the Suns tonight. I mean, they just
Oof.
they just toyed with you. I mean, really, like this
They
was
did.
a glorified preseason game for the
They
Suns.
did, and it was a bad game for the bigs too. But we've talked over and over again about the team just
Nice to
blowing
watch.
off Ime, his things that he wants to implement here, the things he's emphasizing day in and day out. So maybe you guys look at it and say these guys attacking head on and falling into the isolation hole is the only way that they're going to compete offensively. But in terms of instituting and responding to what this coach is trying to implement here, they're just not doing it game in and
First of
game
all,
out. So
I
you got to
didn't
start
think-
to look at the guys who aren't doing it.
First of all, this wasn't a Dennis Schroeder pounds the ball into the ground sort of game. It certainly wasn't. That wasn't really what was happening. Those guys were trying to be aggressive and trying to get things going for themselves. Because there really wasn't much else going. Actually, they started the game with a little bit of movement. They just weren't knocking down shots. So, I mean, it is generic to just simply say the make miss league thing and then just, like Jimmy said, just end the show. But I mean, they can't freaking hit any shots.
But can't you show commitment to what they're trying to do here? I mean, not even game to game, but quarter to quarter.
You can,
So it
but
doesn't
why are
work
we
in the
talking
first
about
quarter.
Schroeder? Like,
No, all I'm saying
Marcus
is that
Smart.
We're not.
grew.
We're not.
You
We're
know,
not even
like,
talking
what are
about
we
Schroeder.
talking
We're
about?
talking about the idea of talking about Schroeder. We're not actually talking about Schroeder. He
I
wasn't
know,
the
we're
problem.
not.
He's not even worth talking about.
Listen,
You know what? I had to go.
everybody will talk about
I had
Tatum in that
to
same
get my
regard.
Schroeder talk out because I missed the last few shows and there was a lot of Schroeder talk. I couldn't defend my guy because I wasn't on the show, and I was just watching the show after the fact, like I'm sure a lot of people here do and are right now. And everyone was saying, "Listen, Schroeder's getting way too much blame for way too much of the blame pie here. Does Schroeder deserve a little piece of the pie?
Schroeder's never gotten the
Absolutely.
blame pie
when
here.
Are you kidding me? When you're on the show, he does. When you and Sherrod are on the show, he
Listen,
does.
all I do is say
Josue's
what
been
happens in
guilty
the
before
game.
too.
Oh man,
No,
come
but
on,
you-
guys.
you-
We're gonna be
you-
bickering
but
all
you
night.
pick and
Schroeder's
Knock it off,
gotten
you
very.
two. Stop
This
it.
is the only point I'm trying to make tonight. He's gotten very little
nice.
criticism on this show in particular, and everybody's fair game here.
He's gotten very.
Yeah, I
Okay,
understand
okay,
everybody's fair
okay,
game. It's just
okay.
funny when literally, again, talking about Schroeder
It's funny,
certain times talking about Schroeder is literally like talking about the color of the drapes when the house is burning. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, everything is bad. And you're like, oh, remember that one time he had a turnover? That was so bad. Ime must be so mad.
It's
He's
the
not
Rob
running his
stuff.
steps.
It's the Rob stuff from all over
It's the Rob thing all over again.
from last year.
And
Anyways.
like, again, the chat is lit up here, like with Marcus Smart
You
stuff.
want to talk about
I was
Rob
gonna
too?
say,
We can do that.
well, there's
We
other
will.
comments mentioning the head coach, mentioning Ime. How do you feel about Ime tonight, guys? How do we feel about the
Schroeder's.
the proverbial spanking he did? It was the second quarter. Came out, he was upset. Did you guys see that?
I mean, here's the thing: is like,
Ime's
what did
exasperated.
what did we get on Brad about? Not getting upset.
Not being emotional.
Not
being
getting
emotional.
upset, not calling timeouts, not making changes.
Ime's
not,
doing all of those things. He's calling timeouts. He's getting upset. He's publicly calling them out. He's calling out stars. He's clearly
How
exasperated.
about that Ime comment today? And this is where I think we can start to criticize.
He's
Ime a little
clearly
bit more
exasperated. He's doing the things we thought were the root of Brad's
Right.
problems, and people are like, "Get rid of Ime." Like, you can't
Well,
fix
because
your
they-
rotations when all the
Yeah.
players are bad. Like,
The people who say get rid of Ime are going to be the parents who will never blame their children for anything. Their kid will get expelled
Yes.
from like their kid will be in detention every single day from 4th grade to 8th grade,
And
and
it's
it's
the
going to
school
be the
system.
teachers. Yeah, it's the principal. It's those are the people who are like fire
Hold on.
Ime or blame Ime.
They'll move
You've
to
got to
5
take a
different suburbs, to
take
get
a
him in a
look
different
at your
school system.
exactly. Yeah, take a look at your own kid. Maybe
I'm
your
telling you,
kid's
he's a
just an
good kid.
asshole. Okay,
Where is
like
this? Where's
do
the
you,
show gone? Where's
you don't
the
wait.
appetite to criticize someone here? I
It's
mean,
not
we're just
that.
gonna.
It's just, again, we're just it's the wrong targets,
Right.
like we're
We're
just
beating
Who's
around
the
the bushes.
target
What
then?
we're
This
could
is
he
what I
what could he
said.
have done better? What
I
could he have
open.
done better?
So this is how Ime opens the day today. I was stunned actually because he puts out this target. Wasn't really asked too directly about it. I think it was just a pretty vague question about why they're getting off to bad starts here.
Yeah.
And he says, when you look at our starting group, I wouldn't say it's the most energetic group. So how can we get them going and he asked this question. Like, it was kind of weird the way how he put it out there. So how can we get them going as a unit and not everybody trying to get their own game going to start the game? And in my head, I
Everything he
hear that.
says is a subtweet of Tatum.
I want
Go
to,
ahead.
Bobby,
Go
go
Bobby.
on.
Yeah.
I
So
want to hear what he's saying.
I hear that, and I'm like, the starting lineup is changing tonight. There's no way you say that, and the starting lineup just isn't ripped to shreds, and we're trying something new here. And I asked him pregame, I go, all right, what's the starting lineup? And he seemed pretty confused that I was asking that, because, Schroeder was up in the air, but
He's
if
like,
Schroeder
Bobby,
was
you know the
healthy, he
effing
said,
starting line.
he says it's going to be the same. So they've run double big every game all year. They've done the same substitution patterns
I'll give
every
you that.
game all year. They haven't changed the starting lineup once outside of the injury adjustments. And we know it's Schroeder for Brown and Grant for Horford and Rob. And the substitutions are staying the same way throughout the games. They keep starting games bad. They keep having these second quarter issues here recently. And he's not changing it.
Fair point.
There's some things we can start to look at with Ime here. I'm not saying fire Ime or he's the biggest issue here, but I was stunned that he didn't shake up the rotation.
Well, again,
but
go ahead, Josue.
No, yeah, hold that thought real quick.
Do your thing. Yeah.
In a way, I would agree with. I mean, I do agree with you, but I just thought this was a great opportunity for guys like Romeo and Neesmith to get in there because you didn't have Josh
by
Richardson
themselves.
No, I mean unleash them a bit. And look, we got 20 plus. What was it?
Oh,
23
they
minutes
did.
from Romeo. 14 minutes from Neesmith, and they didn't do much. They shot away from the moment.
But they were put out there to die in the second quarter.
They're put out there together to die. Like, they can't help one another. They need to be in lineups where they can be a complementary piece. That's why I've been begging to get one of them into the starting lineup to unlock whatever it is do well.
Romeo had a good start, though, because he usually puts Romeo in with a few starters. But then after that, it's just... Yeah,
Romeo was okay tonight.
He was okay, but I thought, again, you saw a couple good plays, but it's never consistent. And then Neesmith, oh, man, sometimes... he had an opportunity to take some shots. He hesitated and turned into a turnover. It's like he blinked twice and the ball went off his foot on another play. It was just like he was just a mess. He reminded me of the first couple of months we saw him in his rookie season. It's just...
And that's the other thing, too. We can keep talking about those young guys, but every time they go out there, they're not taking advantage of the opportunity. And I agree, John. You got to put them out there with some guys that can set them up to be successful.
Exactly. And carve a rollout for them. Don't put them out there and have them stand while Tatum and Schroeder take all the shots and they're just standing in the corner and never get the ball. You got to put them in a position to succeed, and two, give them opportunities.
I agree, but at the end of the day, like, how many rookies are getting placated? Young guys around the league are getting
not placated, but
it's
not placated. It's developed. You're not developing them by putting them out there together for 5 minutes in the second quarter and letting them let a game get away from them and then yanking them.
Tread water.
And then
I don't think Ime's here to develop guys.
Mothball,
I don't think.
Yeah, but in a game like this, Bobby, against the Suns, this is one of the best teams in the NBA.
I hope he is.
No Booker.
I should hope so, man. But let me get back to it again. Bobby, I know you were talking about like how ridiculous it is that, Ime, who was critical of the low energy first unit, was, kind of perplexed by the question you asked in the pregame press conference of like, who are you starting? And he's like, duh, the same guys. But every single thing that he says is a subtweet of Jason Tatum. We don't play with enough energy. We need to work the ball
hunting
more.
shots, trying to find your own rhythm. Yeah.
Hunting shots, finding rhythms, not working other teammates. And again, I even pointed it out at the halftime of the TNT broadcast during the Lakers when Tatum was playing well. They asked Sime, Tatum's been good tonight. He's like, yeah, he's just got to move the ball and trust his own teammates. Like, he didn't say he's been great. Thank God for him. He's saving our ass right now. He was like, yeah, he was fine. He hit some shots, but he's really got to work his teammates into the action. Every single thing that he's saying, energy, attitude, all of that stuff.
I thought it was interesting
about
too.
Tatum, it really is like it's about his style. It's about the choices he makes in his style of play. Everyone's
a
gonna
choice,
be like,
right?
Yeah, everyone's gonna be like, oh, who the hell? I mean, Tatum's all alone out there. He's on an island. That's fine, but he wants him to be a different guy and to set the tone for the rest of the team. So, like, it's not a coincidence that the 2 games Tatum's come out rip roaring hot.
I thought this was a great game too. I was sad Booker didn't play because when you think of guys who have done what Tatum's trying to accomplish here, Devin Booker's kind of the prime example. And I asked Monty Williams pregame, I was like, what did you do with Booker? Like, what worked for this guy that's not working for Tatum here? And he essentially said it was on Booker. Like, there's no magic that you can do as a coach. There's nothing you can really say. You just got to make the decision that you're going to become a playmaker, that you're going to emphasize that personally for yourself. And the line I love from him is that he said he decided he wanted to win. The Suns had lost for all those years with him there, and he essentially made the choice himself. I'm going to play winning basketball rather than 70-point basketball, as we look back on with him back in the day when they were terrible.
It's a choice. It's a choice.
He essentially said when you win, everything else takes care of itself. And I just love the answer he gave there because he said, this isn't coaching, this isn't scheming, this isn't anything else. This is the player's decision here. And that's something that Tatum's eventually going to have to make on his own. But we get on Tatum for it nonstop. There's other guys here like Smart in a game like this.
I know, but
I think it's very
star.
rarely Smart.
Yeah, he sets the tone, Bobby.
He's the star and he sets the tone. Yeah,
he does too. But, I'm just saying, the guy who has the ball in the hands most pound for pound through the course of a game is Schroeder. So you do look at him a little bit too. In that
but
regard.
Bobby, Tatum is the one that from the very beginning, you just saw in his eyes, I'm going for 40 and I'm going to do it, And some days, I guess you need that down the stretch or so, but it's just not the approach that you want to start the game all the time. And look, I'm not trying to blame this, loss on Tatum, but I just didn't think from the beginning,
Yeah, all I'm saying is we talk about this every day with Tatum. They talk about it every single day with Tatum. This isn't a new criticism for him or a development or theme. There's other guys that can step up here. Tatum started this game.
Schroeder's the one guy who did step up, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't know.
He was
I get
fine.
what you're saying in the sense
I think,
of him.
and I'm not even saying they need 30 points from Schroeder. I'm saying they need more ball movement, more facilitating, those type of things from him. Listen, you can say it's unnatural for Schroeder. You can say the same exact thing for Tatum. There's a guy who's a scorer who scores at a higher rate than Schroeder, who has 10 times more talent than him in that regard. It makes sense that Tatum would try to lean on that. If you're the point guard and Schroeder, and that's essentially what he is at this point, you got to start to adjust a little bit in your own right too, if you want to win.
I know, and that's it. This is where, and I know Jimmy disagrees with me on it, but like this is where I say with Tatum, like I believe that Jason Tatum really thinks that the best way he can help the team is through scoring, which is why he looks to score. I don't believe he does it out of ego. I think that's who he is as a basketball player.
Exactly.
I am a scorer. I score by scoring points. I help my team. And again, Ime's saying, I want you to do different things because if we can't unlock it, we can't get people going, we're never going to win. They're not good enough to do it without help. So it can't just be, it can't be when you're not helping them and when you're not on the court. It's never going to happen. You're going to have to do this thing that helps other people too, because you're the best player we have. And without that, we're dead. You might get 40 and we might have a good shooting night and we'll do whatever, but we're never going to be great, and that's kind of what he's saying. And the counter is always people are like, who's he going to pass to? And it's like, it's hard to argue with that because we don't know. But like, I always look at like, it's not a great example, but Russell Westbrook's year in OKC when he had the triple-double thing and they were terrible. And everyone's like, look at his roster. They're so bad. And who was on the roster? Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis. And I know it was early in their lives, but like everyone's like, he's got the worst roster I've ever seen in my life. And then like they trade half of it and they all go on to be all-stars in like a year. So like, Is it possible he could have gotten more
Look
out
at
of those
Garrison
people?
Matthews in
Yeah.
Houston.
Is it? Oh God, really, Bobby? We're
You knew
just
he had to bring that up.
When you
what I'm
think of
saying is, they look like garbage now because you got one guy running around doing everything, and like you wonder, is there something else they could be? I don't think so. I don't think they're stars, but I mean they've got no hope unless they get it all going in a different way.
they know that, and that's why they preach it, and that's why the
Yeah.
commitment to it's so important, regardless of the result. Listen, they still lose this game if they pass a little bit more. The Phoenix just took it to them on offensively early.
Yeah.
You would have felt better about it if it was a little bit closer. They produced quality shots, and you come away talking about the potential assists and the expected field goal range and whatever else we've been throwing around all season. This is what's worrisome about it. We've talked about the team, the ball handlers on this team not trusting their teammates at times. Why aren't they passing to Neesmith? Why aren't they passing to this guy, that guy? The process. Are they confident in the process here? Can they have a bad night shooting, facilitating for others, not scoring a ton if you're Jason Tatum or Schroeder or any one of these other guys here, and still feel good about doing it the next night? Because I think that's what's going on a little bit here is early in the season, the ball's whipping around. They're not shooting good. They're not finishing these awesome passing plays that they have. So do you fall down the hole of saying, all right, that's not working, back to our thing here, back to isolation and trying to get it going ourselves?
It always goes back to that. They can almost never get a clean game.
Is there a vision of the bigger picture here? Yeah, within a game or even game to game. Listen, look at all the good things you did in Utah and Portland. We thought that was a revelation for this team. We really knew deep down it wasn't, but it looked like one. And then things get tough in the middle point of the Lakers game, and it's all gone. It's gone just in an instant like that. I don't know what you develop this season if that's the kind of approach you're going to have here. Like, we'll still be doing this in April. We'll still be having this conversation here, and it's just the mindset of this team. I don't think they're very strong mentally in terms of going through the ups and downs of games, weeks, game to game, and just
they're just
disconnected.
plan. They're just disconnected. It begs the question, like, is there a plan? Like, is there an offensive plan, or is the plan just pass a lot, guys? Like, are they running sets? Are they running plays? Like, is there anything? Is Ime calling them and they're not running them? I have no idea. I can't really tell what they're trying to accomplish. You talk about identity. There's no offensive identity whatsoever. Like, I don't know what this team is trying to be. You play other teams
They don't either.
that have dynamic offenses, and you're like, oh, this
no,
team,
and to the point about the Schroeder
they,
Tatum thing.
Yeah,
you
they
don't
kill
have
you with this, they kill you with that,
They don't have a ball handling identity either. Like, there's no guy you look to as a steady hand when things get tough. And I think that's why they start falling behind so much in these games through droughts and stuff. It's just kind of my turn, your turn in terms of facilitating, ball handling, and offense. Smart should be the guy, right?
There you go. So that was the whole biggest question that we all had going into this season, is that they don't have a true point guard. And then they signed Schroeder, and still not really a true point guard. And it was great that they got him because they had no business signing him.
But he's supposed to be your backup point guard, and that was
he's supposed to be your backup.
That's what you're excited about, right?
Right, but he's not the TJ McConnell type backup where he's a passer and he's an assist guy that Bobby wants so desperately for one of these guys to be. You just don't have one. And you had Marcus Smart that you hoped would alter his game and be that player, and he's just not. And you can make up if you're not going to be the distributor you want, fine, then be the scorer. But if you go 1 for 13 like you did tonight, and you're still not the distributor, and you're part of a 15% shooting performance from 3, like, man, like you are one of the main parts of the problem tonight. I mean, there's no way around it.
He was so good for a month in that regard. He put together just a sensational month of passing there. Hate to kill him for 2 or 3 bad games in a row here because it happens. At the same time,
not killing him, just killing. He's just one of the guys that you have to kill, like everybody else. I'm not even singling him up, but if you want to know why you went so poorly on this West Coast trip, certainly that's one of the reasons. I mean, shooting is the number one. I mean, you just don't have good shooters at the end of the day. You don't, when Jalen. So
we've talked a lot about Tatum, Schroeder, Smart, those guys. It's crazy to me that we're this far into the season and Peyton Pritchard is still lost.
Is
Like,
that
even in
crazy
this
to you?
game.
That's not crazy at all. But yeah, I mean,
Well, when we think of the goals that they had for him and what they wanted him to do this year on this team, well, think of if Schroeder never came, how big of a part of what they'd be doing Schroeder is. And I know that's
And
the
that would be
consequence of
bad. They'd
signing
probably
Schroeder.
be 3 or 4 games worse.
yeah.
Let me
I
say
know,
something.
That's why I didn't see that opening for him when they got Schroeder.
I'd rather talk about something else, and I'll bring it up right now. And this might hurt somebody in this room because his jersey's hanging behind him as we speak. But we're talking
Sorry, buddy.
about making a change and getting away from double bigs. You can't say all these things, and we haven't even mentioned this name once in the show. I think the first time I'm going to see the name Al Horford. As much as I like Al Horford, again tonight, tough shooting performance, 0 for 4 from 3. Looks
That's been a
like
constant, though, all season.
but looks like a different player than he did to start this
Yeah.
year.
Totally different.
Completely different player. And if you're talking about getting away from double big, I think that's the guy that if it
Even
was
though
up to
Rob's
me,
getting worse,
he is. I mean, honestly, it's honestly like it's flip a
Dude,
coin.
think
We
about
wanna
how
toss
bad
to the
this
bench.
lineup is. It's
But John,
Jimmy,
think
it's
about it
not
like
just
this.
double big, it's double big, double point guard,
I
and
know.
neither one is exceptional. You know, you have two
You could honestly flip 2 guys. You could get Horford out and you could take either
not
Schroeder or
great point
Smart
guards, 2 not great point guards, and 2 not great bigs are starting. It's not just that you're starting 2 of them; it's that they're both pretty average. You know,
But if you're gonna make a change,
the Celtics are starting right now without Jaylen Brown. The Celtics are starting 4 sixth men, basically. Right?
Somewhere, yeah. I mean, one of those
I mean,
sentences.
in a way,
You
in a
know?
way. I mean, here's the thing though. You don't want to toss Rob, even though Rob's not playing at his peak right now. He still does show Rob things, and you just signed that extension. He's a young guy. You want to showcase him again. You want to know what you have, like you do in a similar sense, to a lesser extent, with the Neesmiths and the Grants and the Romeos. That's why I'm not really that inclined to throw Rob to the bench and just toss him out there in random situations.
Yeah, I'm reluctant
I
to
think
do it too.
you
It's a
can
tough
have
call.
a more of a stable force with Horford, who I'm not giving up on Horford. I just think that
Horford and Schroeder, right? That's probably a good duo off the bench.
right, it is. If you have a completely healthy lineup, if you don't,
Yeah.
you kind of need some offense somewhere. So that's why Schroeder is playing because you know that if you're gonna bring Romeo or Neesmith or Grant into the starting lineup, you need offense from somewhere. You just and Schroeder is your second guy right now with Jaylen Brown out, and who knows, is Jaylen Brown going to come back on Monday? Hopefully, but I have no idea. I mean, he can play, but he can't play. I mean,
And this
we don't really
is
know what the hell to believe. So you need Schroeder's offense. So, I mean, you can't play 5 guys who can't score or 4 guys who can't score to start the game, or you're just going to consistently go down by 10, 15 points in the first quarter and have to claw your way back.
along
So
with
that's
that,
why
you can't put the full second unit out there like they did in this one with no one to set a tone.
Right.
Schroeder was out there, but again, I didn't love the way he set a tone in this one. Horford was out there for support, fine. But it wasn't a well staggered lineup, and you didn't have the guys to do it. Normally, Richardson's out there, Brown can stagger in the units like that, but you probably should have ticked up Tatum's minutes a little bit with 2 games coming up over the weekend, and I mean 2 day oh my God, West Coast
Off
trip,
days.
2 off days going into the next game here, and you had the chance to experiment a little bit with guys out. Sure, you put in some more young guys here, but in terms of rotation, I didn't think they experimented much at all here. And that's where I'll concede to the chat. I was confused why they were going out Ime on Wednesday. They're still probably being too harsh on Ime overall, but this wasn't a great Ime game to me. And again, the exasperation on the sideline over defensive rotations, the message that he's hammering home, not being emphasized by the team night in and night out, that's concerning to me. And listen, we can say injuries all year long. We can say COVID. Once again, because Josh Richardson got it all game long or all year long again. I heard Danny saying it, and he's not even the GM anymore, making excuses for the team on the interview that we talked about the other night. This just goes so beyond what they're missing and the inconsistency in the lineups and all that kind of stuff that you hear every single day with them. And I don't know. This week, you got to get an answer. You got to shake some things up in the lineup. You got to try some different things. So when you get to the end of this homestand, if you're well under 500, Brad Stevens upstairs knows it's time for a change here. And hopefully Jalen's 100% when he comes back, and you can get a real answer on what it looks
Again,
like with
I've
him
got
too.
news for people. their trades aren't fixing this because this isn't a team that's meant to be successful. This is a placeholder team that right now for maybe a bigger plan down the road. There is
What
no.
about the TPE conversation? You know that's going to pick up, right?
I
Probably,
know, but like
maybe
I said,
a
is
TPE type of deal, but then it's not going to be. Yeah.
the best thing you're going to do for trades this year is to get worse, not better. You're going to dump people. You're not like this idea that like let's trade everybody and get better. Like who are you trading? There's nobody here that you're trading and getting better. You might get a team to bite on a guy like Schroeder at the deadline. That's going to make you worse. So that's it. And even that is questionable because again, what the baggage that he brings. He's.
Do you want to take a step back now, though? You want to make this even harder for the Jays?
What are we going to do? We're going to keep bringing in guys for half a season like Evan Fournier and letting them walk just so the Jays feel good about it and they can finish 500. But think that management had their back. Like, what's the point?
I think you put all your chips on the table right now and try to go big. This is the time to do it. I think next week there's going to be a lot of trade conversations. There's a lot of teams taking
a lot of teams will make trades to better themselves, and none of them will be the Celtics because they have nothing to trade.
They'll have nothing to trade if they don't put things out there in terms of
what
picks.
Things?
They have all their future picks. So do you want to go the picks route here and wait till 2024? Do you want to put it on the table now?
Again, if this fictional scenario,
what are you saying?
If this fictional ESPN report that was made up by a guy,
tell about the Lillard thing.
But it's not. That was one guy theorized that if they gave 4 first-round picks, maybe they could get Lillard.
But hypothetically, Jimmy, would you do it?
4 picks is a lot. I mean,
the new big three, Dame in Boston.
Honestly, like
doing that stuff.
I think there's an opening in the East right now. I would probably do it and just throw caution to the wind. I am a little.
There's an opening in the East. Yes, I agree. I'm
a little hesitatant because I think Lillard is showing signs.
Look at what the teams.
Look at the landscape right now, Bobby. It's shaky. Philly.
I agree, Josue. And with
I think it gives you like 3 years of like championship contention. So to me, it's worth it. And you just kind of, there's a couple picks that you lose in the future. It was like one of them was like 2028, and like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, who the hell knows? What we dead by 2028.
Jimmy,
at this rate.
Jimmy, think about it. What has every team in front of you done? The Bulls send out 2 picks for Vucevic. The Bucks send out all their picks for Holiday. The Nets do it for Harden. Philly's about to do it.
But you could argue that the Bucks were closer. You know what I mean? It's very situational.
How far are you?
You have
got
to
the
think
2 stars.
You have your 2 stars, but there's a lot of questions as to if these 2 stars are the 2 stars.
Because there's not much around them. What have we said all show?
If you think they are, then you make that trade.
Self-fulfilling prophecy here. You don't put a good roster around them these last 2 years. You come into the season knowing that this is going to be tough because you got a lot of young guys and a lot of unproven depth here. And then it is hard, and we go, wow, maybe these stars don't have what it
Bobby,
takes.
Anybody dangles a top 25 player, you take the deal because you're not going to get another chance at it. So yes, you make the deal. If there's something out top there 15. for picks, a top 20 something player, top 25 player, you make it because you'll never get that opportunity. It's not you can't make it happen in free agency. You make the salaries work. You move out whatever pieces,
and you don't have to get rid of your 2 stars. Yeah,
that doesn't involve your 2 stars. You take it. Almost definitely.
If it doesn't work, then you got your answer.
But you got to take
right. I mean, like that would listen. I mean,
you take that swing. You take that swing. I just don't even know.
It's similar to what they
did
in 2007. Now, Kevin Garnett was a completely different
story. You just
story.
don't know if they take that
because he was like a culture changer. But it's a similar situation. I mean, I don't even know if it's similar. The Celtics were a completely different space.
It is, but it isn't. I know what you're saying, Jimmy. Yeah. It's more like what OKC is in the middle of doing. It's like, does Portland really want to do that? Because you would get this grand package of future picks, right?
It's kind of what the Nets did last year.
That's the cream of the crop of the deal, right?
You can look at the Nets and say,
and a couple pieces.
You can look at the Nets and say, so stupid. They did it with KG and Pierce, and they're doing it again. Well, look where they are, and they wouldn't be there if they didn't do it because of how this Kyrie thing.
They will win no titles.
But
I agree. I mean, they built.
At least they're in position to do it. They look like a title team.
They built a super team. They built a super team.
Yeah,
I think you look at where the Celtics are right now. It's very much because they had the pick assets over the years. They had the young players, and they didn't make an aggressive stab at going in on a star. And they had multiple chances. Again, you probably feel good that you didn't do the Davis one right now, but would you have done the Kawhi one if you look back on it? Would you have sent those picks out for depth in the years where you probably did have a championship team? Again, I think you did the right things roster-wise over those years to put a team that, if it was healthy, in contention, at least be there in the finals. But when it wasn't healthy and the depth started getting tested, you blew through so many picks as Danny Ainge in that time. And now you're in a position again where you have all your future picks. You can either wait for them or wait for the perfect deal or get very aggressive now with them. Send quite a few of them out that looks right now. But we talked about this the other day when you weren't here, Jimmy. Say you send out 4 picks, pick swaps, whatever you want to say, 3
Sure.
unprotected, 1 future protected, couple pick swaps, whatever, amounts to 4 or 5 for whatever you're going to do here. If you're still good and you still have Brown or Tatum at that point, you're not going to feel bad that you gave those up in 5-6 years. And you're going to feel terrible if you're waiting for another young guy next year to come to fruition when he's 19 or 20 years old and the Tatum and Brown duo is just struggling to produce the offense that the team needs and not getting much help around them. I just think it's a no-brainer right now to consolidate. You can't wait till the offseason because this is going to go off the rails.
All right, let's make all our email jokes now as we talk about our sponsor, LinkedIn. LinkedIn.com. It's actually
listen to
LinkedIn.
You know what?
Yeah.
I actually disagree. I think
You're doing
email. So this whole thing is LinkedIn.com/Garden to post your first job.
It's LinkedIn Talent Solutions. It's when you're looking to
Email
hire
should be
people.
going to it to look for talent, not to look for a job. You should be
Fair
going to
enough.
it to look for talent because that's
Fair
what he
enough.
would be using this for.
Okay,
Theoretically
we'll
speaking.
flip it. It's a much better joke, Jimmy. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Is
It
Sabonis-
just makes
is-
more sense. It makes way more sense.
Is
this
Sabonis
way.
on there?
I don't know if he's
Connect
on
me
LinkedIn.
with Sabonis. If the Celtics were looking for their candidate right now on LinkedIn, jobs, you are gonna put in high post initiator, big man scorer, point touches, all that different kind of stuff they're missing right now, and Domantas Sabonis is gonna pop up.
I don't know if you guys play poker
Oh, so now
or
you're
not,
a Sabonis
but
guy.
you guys know in like standard 5-card poker, in order to get, like when you've got an absolute shit hand, if you've got one ace, you trade in all 4 cards. Like that's kind of what the Celtics need to do now. They basically need everything. So it's like you can have all of it, and
Yeah.
we'll take 4 new things. We'll take everything else
Hit
and just
me.
see if we improve. But
But
anyway,
whenever you're a guy who takes 4, everyone's kind of looking
I don't
at
want
you
to. I don't want to spend 6 minutes on this ad. Okay.
Well, no,
It's
but
been 4.5.
no,
Yeah.
but when
We're
you're the
3.5
guy who takes
minutes in, I haven't even started. I haven't even gotten to the first.
when
intro
you're the
yet.
guy who takes 4 cards, the rest of the league, in this case, the league is
Jimmy
looking at you like,
loves ads.
ooh,
Loves 'em.
wow, like this is a bad dealer/team right now. This guy is.
Okay,
This
so
guy,
let me
we have
tell you
nothing to
guys
worry
at
about.
home about LinkedIn Talent Solutions. These days, it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. This is a big business, Jimmy, the Celtics, okay? Small
Well,
business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs made it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. So we're talking about how many people can you reach here? We're talking 770 million people belong
Wow.
on the LinkedIn network here. You can focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience that you need for your job and your small business. It's the number one place for delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So what do? You go to linkedin.com/garden. That's linkedin.com/garden. Post your job for
First
free.
job for free. People don't want
Terms
to work
and
anymore.
conditions
Hopefully, this will
apply.
convince people to want to go back to work.
Damn
Everyone
kids
just,
with their music.
You want to work, Jimmy?
they just want to buy NFTs and flip them and all this
Become
stuff.
YouTube stars.
with their.
You don't need a job. You don't need a job in the metaverse.
They just want to be influences. You know,
they just want to take their pictures and
with the Instagram.
unbelievable. These
I
kids,
just-
they don't know what it's like.
With
They
their
never worked a
views
day in
and
their life.
And they get their likes.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't know if we're gonna keep going down the trade hole here, but this is a very important point next week.
Bob's got the trade sheet fired up.
That sounds gross.
Charlie Hustle seems like a guy who likes to work. He is a guy who gets out there.
Let's go get jobs. Did I inspire you guys to get
Charlie
jobs?
Hustle.
And you know what?
Charlie Hustle
A guy
has
like
3
Charlie
jobs.
Hustle probably worked, 50 hours this week, comes home, says, you know what, I'm going to stay up late for the Celtics, even though I'm tired as hell. And this is what the Celtics do. This is
Oh, it's
how they
brutal.
thank
You're
you
right.
for a 5-day work week that you busted your ass for. This is the performance, the product they give you.
I know so many.
I can only
so many
imagine.
Celtics fans have lost sleep this week because
People
of
want to
this.
know why I wasn't on the show this week. I gotta get up early and go to. I can't let the Celtics
Look how
affect
fresh Jimmy is.
my
Yeah,
work. Yeah, look at this guy. This is the guy that's got
the three of us
8
are
hours,
exhausted.
5 days a week. The guy next to me, that's a guy that did not get his full 8 hours this week, and he can blame the Celtics.
Yeah, he got 8 hours of sleep the whole week combined.
Total.
Total. Yeah.
Jobs do
Weekend
suck.
off.
He doesn't even know what day we're in right now.
Yeah.
No.
Weekend off ahead.
Oh.
But this is so
This
important.
is great. If
Days
Nick
are
texts
just
me, if Nick
government
texts me
construct.
one time over the weekend, I swear to God.
He will not be getting a response at all.
So this
LA
week
Nick.
coming up.
Did anyone get a good look at LA Nick this week? Wow, that was a sight.
That
Guy
a
was
sight.
buzzing.
Josue,
Josue, you got a
rocking
quick
LA.
report on LA Nick? What was he like?
Wait, what? What do you mean? You saw the
Josue's not-
reports. We were
I heard
kicking
you
it,
guys
man.
went out a couple. I heard you
They
guys
were
went out and
cooking.
got after it.
They were cooking out there. CLNS was friggin' rolling large out in LA with a crew of 3 guys. With those
Someone spotted his the logo on the vest and gave him like one of these like pat downs.
Yeah.
At first, Nick jumped because he thought the guy was trying to do something. He was like, "No, man," because I know that
I like
recognize that
CLNS.
logo. Yeah. I mean, the
That's
guy
awesome.
was
That's
like
great.
6 something. But, yeah.
Yeah, I heard it was a movie. I heard LA was a movie. Dude.
We're opening CLNS LA Bureau for sure.
CLNS LA. Let's see how many letters we
following
can
out
string
there,
together.
a little following.
I love it. I don't know if we want to keep doing the trade stuff. I mean, we
Well,
can.
that's just a very
I
important
don't.
point for next week. No, because I think everybody's looking
I know
to
it's
trade that
coming.
market.
It's coming.
Yeah.
We're 5 days away.
Yeah, Tracy's
The 15th, that's when it starts. And that's
Yep.
when Schroeder becomes available. You can put
Everybody
in
but
his freedom in
Marcus.
deals if that's
Everybody
what you
but
want to do with the
Marcus.
salary. So
Oh, wouldn't you love that,
and
Bobby?
other-
Wouldn't you love that?
and other people
Bobby will
around
be
the
like,
league, too.
well,
How
he
many
was
people are going to have
first.
Schroeder and
Yeah.
go?
Hey, it just gives you options at that point, and it's not only your players; it's other players around the league too, and you can get into the list and what other teams are going to need,
No, I
things
mean,
like
yeah.
that. But this is
That's
I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but I do think there'll be interesting ways for the Celtics to get involved just because of the salary they have on the roster to be facilitators and deals that can bring
Like
in
the
some
Simmons
depth, some
deal?
pieces that can help you. Yeah, definitely the Simmons deal. I mean, you got Juancho's salary, you got a couple $5 million deals in here, you got Richardson's deal at $11 million. No one's probably trading for him in the next 10 days here, but you know, you got flexibility.
You don't
here.
have
got your own
Trader
picks.
Danny anymore, though. Trader Danny always got his nose into these 3-way deals.
Oh, and he has
We
so
were
many
close.
ways.
We were so close. We were
Yeah,
close on
we
a
were
lot
close,
of things.
but you know what? We facilitated it, and we.
That was so
we
ridiculous.
ended up with
Danny
2
made
seconds.
Danny must have made more trades than any GM ever when you consider that
Brad's
little
got
run
something.
from like
He's-
13 to
he's-
15.
cooking up something. You don't think? I feel like he's rival Brad.
I don't know.
Here's
I
what
don't
I'm
know what
pretty
Brad's
sure.
doing.
I don't
Brad's
know what
not
Brad's
Danny's
doing.
last 2 seasons. That's what
Brad
he's trying
doesn't
to
talk
do.
to the media really outside that
So-
radio interview.
So what Bobby's
Good.
saying is take a big swing. I feel the most likely thing that Brad is not going to do is change for the sake of change. I think if there's a deal that he thinks makes them better in the short term, even if it's a small one, he makes it. If there's a big one, sure, perhaps. He's not rolling the dice on a, well, shit, this isn't working. Maybe if we bring Simmons in here, let's see if that works. I don't
No,
think he's
no,
doing
no,
he's-
no.
what
No
I'm
one's
saying
saying
is
that. No
I don't
one's
think
saying
he's
that.
doing a leap of faith deal. You know,
John,
like
what's your problem? Why are you bringing him up? Come on.
Damn,
I'm
John.
saying, like, I don't think we're doing a let's just
I'm
mix it up
thinking-
sort of deal.
No, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying, but I'm thinking a name like we talked about a few nights ago when the Indiana report came out, right? Karis LeVert. You know, everyone's talking about Sabonis and you know the bigger.
I don't know if I agree with that, John. We don't know yet, right? Like, what do we have to
don't
go
know.
off?
We don't know. That's my
The
gut.
Indiana
We don't know
report or
what.
what?
We don't know what.
We don't
If
know what
Brad's going to do
inclination
something
is.
daring, yeah. We
Yeah,
don't
what if
know.
Never
Brad's
gonna.
very
Well,
daring.
never. Josue.
I
you
know
go.
we
What
look
were you
at it
saying?
like obvious now,
Yeah,
but
right.
wasn't
I'm like, what are you guys talking
What
about?
the hell?
wasn't trading?
Did Josue say one damn thing?
No, they heard it, but they just like went back to the other conversation. All right,
Yeah, they were like,
Go
you know
ahead.
what? We don't care.
Let's do yours, Josue. Go ahead.
I mean, what's wrong with someone like Karis LeVert? You know, running in this type of offense.
Anyways,
Well,
what
he
else
can really
is going
get
on,
some
guys?
doesn't change anything.
Yeah, Dennis Schroeder's got to go.
You're gonna see Schroeder walk anyways in one way or
No,
another.
I'm just kidding.
Set things up for that.
So why do you like LeVert?
I just think he's an instant offense kind of guy. You know, he can create on his own. He can adapt to an offense. You know, I thought what he did in Brooklyn was incredible. I mean, look, he's
I
obviously
like
the
him too.
injury set him back a bit, but I think that's something that could work in the Celtics' favor. I think his value diminished, but I don't think he's gone for good. You know, he's still young. He still has upside, plenty of upside.
He's
if you
really
ask
not
me.
young. He's 20. I was stunned. He's 27, 28.
You know what's gonna suck, by
That's
the
still
way, is
young,
when
but I mean,
when
look, he's not okay.
Bro.
You would think he's like for
Well, Bobby's
in terms of his
18,
injuries, you
don't
think
forget.
he's closer to 30 than he is. He's only a few years. He's not even close to 30 yet.
Here's the
What-
problem
No,
with him.
what's gonna depress me the most is when all of the trade pieces come out of like potential targets. None of them are sexy at all, and like 80% of them are ex-Celtics.
So I agree
like
with Josue
Kelly
in that
Olynyk and
sense.
friggin' Avery Bradley, and I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like,
Kelly was
God.
just
It's gonna give you, you know what it is, John? It
That's
might give
all-
you a little,
that's
Shemmy.
might give you some Isaiah Thomas vibes. You know, maybe
That's
he's
all
not gonna average 30, but you know that type
That-
of.
That's
Yeah,
all
coming off
people
the
know how
screen.
to do. It's
You
like
wouldn't be in on the Olynyk TP edition?
I'm just
I'd be feeling
saying.
good
I'm just
about that
saying.
one.
It's not. It
John
doesn't
would
make
like
it
that.
move. You know,
No,
like
it
it's
doesn't.
not.
No.
Yeah.
No, I
Definitely
do like
not.
what Josue's going there for in Levert.
Definitely
So you
not.
have a guy who showed enormous promise in Brooklyn. He's a little expensive. It's not like you're taking a flyer on him in the salary sense, so you're gonna have to eat a ton of tax to do it. That's probably what makes it unlikely. But if you can get him for what's the trade I sent you guys earlier? I think it was Richardson and like Wancho's contract or something, and then maybe like
Something
a
like
protected first. I mean, you take
For
a
what?
flyer on Levert. Yeah.
That's the deal for Levert?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna get for Levert.
I mean, I don't know why the hell the Indy would ever do that, but
Then they're
I
not
mean,
going to
yeah,
move
that'd
him
be
because he has
great.
no value. I mean, he's been awful this year.
I mean,
and
unless
he's
it-
kind of
unless it's
expensive.
Levert
It'd be a
has
salary
value.
dump.
No,
It'd
he
be a
doesn't.
salary dump.
Yes, he does. Levert has value. He does. Have
Because
You got to
value.
look at his numbers this year. He's been horrible. And, you know,
He
he's not a
started the
ball
year
mover.
hurt.
He's-
I mean, he started the
but
year.
he's
I
still
mean,
coming back from injury.
I don't think this is a true representation of who he is, and I don't think he's also like never gonna get back to where he
well,
was.
that's why
Like,
you buy low on him, but
you
doesn't
can
make him
you can
valuable.
try to buy low, but that means that you have this Pacers are gonna sell low.
Yeah.
Which like who's to say they are
That's
gonna
the
do
problem
that?
you run into with trades, right? So unless you make it a bigger thing and you take in Sabonis and him somehow for a bunch of stuff going back, that's tricky to make work money-wise, then you're in trouble
Yeah,
here. And
that's-
again, like, I think
Plus, you know, league's about Jimmy. It's about what he's done for me lately. And
Yeah.
lately, the past week or so, he's been pretty solid. So.
And there's things that can help you on Indiana. Like, I don't think you're
Weeks.
going to go out and use the TP on Lamb, even though he's a decent shooter. He's just too much of the TP to make it worth it.
What's the point of Lamb on this team? You're
there's-
not
there's no
you're
point
not
of one
Jeremy
guy.
Lamb away from doing anything.
Yeah, and then if you think of a bigger deal with Indiana, like everybody says Brogdon, but they extended Brogdon. He's not eligible to be traded. So you
Right.
really can't make this
It
bigger.
that was a weird one to me when they did that. I thought
That was very strange. I mean, they put him out there for Simmons with LeVert. They said no, and they're like, oh, we'll just keep Brogdon. I mean, there's a real complacency in Indiana that makes me skeptical that they're actually going to make a move here. But if they do, I mean, the Celtics got to be as interested as anyone right now in terms of aggressively pushing picks their way. And again, this is the advantage of picks, John. I know you don't think they have any value. If you're a
What are
rebuilding
we
team,
talking about? What are you talking about? You're telling me that?
that's you who doesn't think they have any
What are you
value.
talking
to
about?
other
He's
teams.
the pick master.
To
Bobby,
other
you're the
teams.
one who doesn't think they have value. You want to trade 6 picks on every trade you can get.
You
No,
literally
I'm
like
saying-
you see like a nice jacket in the friggin' in a window walking by, and you're like, I would
6
give
picks.
2 draft picks for that. You know, like you're
John,
like,
this is what I
literally-
texted earlier. Like, I think
true.
he's trolling us. I really think
Yeah,
he
the
is.
NBA
He's
would
a
have to make a
master
new
at
clause
it.
to be like, no, you guys have to have a pick this year or next year.
Yeah,
Jeez.
right. Like, oh, geez, I'm hungry. I'd like a slice of pizza. How many first round picks for that? You know, you just give them out for nothing, man.
No, it's a pick swap. It's a pick swap.
Listen, have you ever heard of inflation? If you don't use your money, the value goes down. And that's what the Celtics have done. Think of the
He
True.
went like, what's
Hey.
his name? What's the
Good
guy?
point.
What's the guy who? The guy that the rules named after because he tried to trade like 3 picks in a row.
Nestepian. They might as well rename it the Bobby, right? the
Yeah.
Bobby rule. They'll have to
Might
make
have
a
to.
more stringent. They'll have to make a
Stipend,
more
stipend rule.
stringent version. Listen,
Like the new
So-
era stipend.
here's the other thing. Everybody's spooked by like what happened to Brooklyn, and who's some like. I guess
Who's
the
spooked by
Clippers have
that?
done it. Well, because
The Garnett.
traded-
Wait,
Brooklyn.
what
Yeah.
happened in Brooklyn?
the Nets trade all their picks to the Celtics, and it became Brown.
Oh,
Tatum,
that okay. You went
KG
way back.
Pierce
Okay,
flamed out.
gotcha. Gotcha.
But if you're looking at the bigger picture of what's happened when a team's moved a lot of their picks at this point, like the Clippers have gotten multiple runs at a championship. The Nets are in play again this year with a super team that, when healthy, is probably better than anybody else's talent-wise. Milwaukee won a championship. Like, there's a lot more success stories off going all in with the picks than there are the scary Brooklyn situation there. And who knows? Listen, if the Thunder draft a great player, awesome. I think that has nothing to do with what the Clippers benefited from. And I feel the same way about the Celtics. Say you trade all these picks away. Everyone talks about, Desmond Bane, all these missed opportunities for the Celtics. Well, if you got something good out of that or trading picks into the future, who cares if the Pacers pick the next Brown 5 years from now? That has nothing to do with where you are.
That's not it. Here's the thing. You give up your picks for a sure thing. But the value of picks is that, again, you have to take some swings. It's a team building thing. You can't just buy stuff. You have to have young players on controllable deals who are progressing, who are going to be stars, who may replace your current stars when they get older. Like, you can only do that through the draft. You're like, young talented players aren't just laying around. You can't pick them up for free, and you don't have assets to trade for them. So if you're going to get better, you have to have a mix of guys I pay a lot of money to and guys I'm going to eventually have to pay a lot of money to, but who are good for me. You can't have none of them, or you can't have a bunch of crappy ones. So that's the problem with not having picks, is all of a sudden, what do you get? You get the Lakers, you get
the Celtics.
Whatever. But the Celtics have a bunch of picks. They're just not great ones. But
I'm saying, but you drafted poorly. That's why you don't.
That's what hurts you. But the idea behind it is, if you take enough swings, you get your guy. You get your frigging, who's the guy we wanted?
Yes.
Who's the guy we wanted last year? Sacramento. Jesus, Halliburton. You get one of those guys, and you're like, okay, he doesn't have to be a star, but he's our third best player, and that's good because he's good and he's cheap and he's in year 2 or 3, and I've got him controlled for 7 years, and that's awesome. You
what are the odds on that, though? If you're gonna spin the wheel on all those late first round picks over the years, and how many of them become a guy like that, it's then picking. Look at the Suns. They just drafted Jalen Smith, and he's already flamed out.
It's not outstanding good, but the point is, it's a law of averages sort of thing. You've missed on 2 or 3 recently. If you have none of them, the point is, it's hard to do, but if you have none of them, you have no chance. From a team building standpoint, it's really hard to be good if you're not bringing in and developing talent. And this is why they're behind right now, is all of these guys are Neesmith and Romeo instead of Halliburton and Hero. You missed. You have Pritchard instead of Bane. You have, if you'd gotten a couple of the other guys.
You didn't miss on Pritchard.
Yeah, it doesn't mean these guys are stars. It just means you don't have. You're giving away roster spots to a bunch of guys who are essentially filler right now, and that's what's killing you.
Yeah, you're behind, John. That's the key point. Is you've screwed up so much at this point.
You're behind.
You're
way behind.
Hole. And so
you lost a lot of talent. You don't have tradable assets, and you're filling your roster with guys you don't really need.
So you're behind, and you're closer to the decision days on.
But you know what, though? It's tough.
You're behind for a sure thing, and say I'm good for 3 or 4 years, and I'll just wait it out. Or you just keep making picks, or try to trade up, or do whatever.
Jimmy, what's the biggest reason they're behind? Say it.
Well, they've been good enough to not have low picks, and then they've lost stars during the offseason.
Guys walking out of the door,
which hasn't helped obviously hasn't helped where they are in the draft. So they're drafting in the mid to late first. So it's almost like, what do you expect? You can't say they missed on Peyton Pritchard. If anything, they kind of hit on Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, you're
right now he's not playing. This is a weird time for him. But I don't think they completely missed on him. I mean, what do you expect? And John, you've said it a bunch of times. You actually kind of hit on Peyton Pritchard. Do you even get anything
you did and you didn't, because if he disappeared off the face of the earth, it makes no difference.
Right, but the point is, you've been good enough to not have a really low draft pick, but then you're losing players. You're losing Kyrie. You're losing Horford. You're losing Hayward. So it's not like the NFL where you get supplemental draft picks that make up for guys that just walk. You don't get that in the NBA.
You get TPs.
Yeah, you get TPs that you turn into nothing, or you watch expire, or you know what I mean. So it's hard to, and the guys they draft, the guys that they've drafted obviously, as of right now, haven't panned out. Now, is that due to lack of opportunity, due to lack of skill, a little bit of both? Yeah, I would say that. And that's why you'll hear or you've heard us on this show say for the last year, you have to play these guys. You have to start these guys. Neesmith, Romeo, Grant to an extent. Now, Grant's playing a little bit better, and we weren't really saying that last year about Grant because he was already playing 20 plus minutes a game anyways. But we've been clamoring for Brad or for Ime to switch it up and play the kids, quote unquote, because you don't know what you have, and you either have something or you don't. And if you don't, you got to move on. And if you do,
And when you
then maybe
don't develop them, you're
right.
burning the asset.
Exactly. When you don't,
but
you have nothing. They're just low salary matches that really don't mean anything.
And that's the thing is like if you were like, oh, if I play Romeo 25 minutes a game, we're gonna miss the playoffs by 10 games. And if I don't play him and play somebody else, we're going to miss the playoffs by 2 games. Like it's not like it's a huge like swing. You're not bringing in people who are so much better that if you don't play them, you're going to tank everything.
Well, this is your chance this week, right?
You're not in contention, and that was the problem last year. Last year was clearly a lost year. It was very strange to not try to develop some of what you had, but Romeo couldn't get out of his own way. So his was a lost year, but I'm going back to it. I would absolutely start Romeo. And I've been saying it, and I don't see a reason not to mix it up a little bit. Move Schroeder and a big to the bench and develop a second unit that has a more of a presence. You're screwed with a second unit that's like Richardson, one of the leftover starters, Neesmith, Romeo, Grant. Those guys are never going to get it going. They're never going to get Ennis. It's never going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Tatum took the L tonight pretty hard, but he did get a bottle of wine from Devin Booker after the game, so I guess that's worthy of an Instagram
He posted
story.
it?
Yeah, it's on his story. He got a bottle of wine from Devin Booker. I mean, yeah, you just got worked by 20 plus,
for
but
that L.
At least you got that bottle of wine to celebrate the L at the end of the game.
That is cool. Jalen had a nice moment with LeBron.
All these guys, man. I hope they lived it. I hope they all had a great trip.
Yep. And,
nice to get out. Nice to get out.
Little
sunshine.
Guys, you fall for this?
Little West Coast living.
Devin Booker, he's plying. He's a smart kid. He's plying. He's
already around for a long
He's already recruited. What did Tatum say? What did Tatum say before that he thought he was going to Phoenix? He thought that was a possibility. Draft day.
Isn't this
because
great? 3 years ago,
you don't think Booker wants him to play next to him? Don't fall for it, Tatum. See?
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. You're right. That's a good point, Josue. That's a good. The heat is on. They probably got wined and dined all trip for all we know.
They probably did the recruitment trip.
This is what's frustrating.
Jaylen Brown on the trip. He didn't play. I don't think Jaylen Brown. I don't think the Celtics had any plans on playing Jaylen Brown this whole trip. If he was good enough to play, like they said, but they just never played him. I'm not going to sit here and say that he was better off being back in Boston and working out the facilities. Maybe they had their trainers and everybody there, so I'm not going to say one way or the other. Maybe it was good for him to be around the team and all that stuff, but
yeah, you want him around the team. I mean, I'm sure
you want him around the team, but at the same time, like, don't you want him? Do you also want him to like rest a little bit and maybe get like the state-of-the-art training facilities that you have in Boston that you can just go to the training facility?
I think we're forgetting like what's most disappointing about this whole stretch of the Celtics is that Tatum and Brown, which is supposed to be the narrative that we were trying to get an answer to or some sort of conclusion here. We have no freaking clue here. What are we, 25 games in? We still it's the same. Nothing has changed because we haven't even seen them play it out. Even when they both were available, one was plagued by injury or COVID. The other one was, wasn't all there and they couldn't get it together. And now, what is it, 6 games in a row? Still no Tatum.
They had big developmental aspirations for Brown this year that they haven't even started to address.
Haven't even started, yeah. Never mind scratch the surface. They haven't even started.
Like think it was Brown and Tatum are going to become playmakers.
It's a third
we haven't even
of the
talked
season
about Brown's playmaking,
which is non-existent. But it's a third of the season.
Third of the season.
Third of the season, and it's a lost season. And okay, everyone again. Jimmy, feel free to start interrupting now.
Right on cue.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Go ahead. Why
I'm
don't
gonna
you do
pull.
it?
I'm just gonna pull it up on my phone while you, John. You can start. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone just so everyone can get an idea.
You know
of
I
what we're
hate
talking
that,
about
by
here.
the way, but that's fine.
I know you hate
so
it. I do know you
it,
hate it.
it makes me not calm, but
Well,
that's fine.
you know what? That's why you need it,
I'm
and
trying to,
that's
but I'm
why
trying
you
to.
need it.
I know. I
John's
know.
picture and Tatum in his son's uniform.
Anyway,
Do
Com.com.
the mute button.
everybody,
/garden.
get after
Yeah.
it. Calm. It's the #1 sleep and meditation app. Partnered with LeBron James. Help you train your mind to become the champion version
LeBron
of
James.
yourself. LeBron James.
LeBron
Sleep is
James.
a critical part of LeBron's mental fitness routine, and it should be the same with you. So again, whether it's whatever Jimmy's trying to conjure up on his phone right now, which I can't hear yet, rain falling
Can't hear
on
it yet.
leaves, sleepy stories, music, all kinds of good stuff. Soundscapes. Calm.com/garden, limited time, 40% off a Calm premium subscription. All of us have one. All of us use it. 40% off a Calm premium subscription.
This is called light aircraft. So this is similar to like fan. If you like to have a fan in your room at night, which a lot of people do, me as well. This is a little different than a fan. This is light aircraft. They also have Dune. I don't know what.
I go heavy artillery.
So apparently Dune. So like they have audio derived from the new critically acclaimed film Doom. So if you really liked Doom or it puts you to sleep, then you can go
Are
ahead
you saying Doom, DOOM, or
No, Dune.
Dune?
Dune.
Okay.
D-U-N-E,
Oh,
like
I
the
thought you were
movie.
talking about the video game Doom.
No, Doom.
It's like, why
With
would
the
that
guy
help
who's
you?
just going around
I keep hearing
shooting.
Doom,
Why
like
would that
Dr.
help you?
Doom, like
Yeah,
Victor
that's what I
Von
was
Doom.
thinking.
Yeah.
Get immersed in planets, serene wind, breeze, and rustling sand. Feels like Dune. You can hear that.
Okay.
Just calm. I actually
Dune,
turned this on.
alright.
So I turned this
Yeah.
on.
Did he say Doom?
I turned this
Yes.
on with about 6 minutes left in
Dune's
the
a
Celtics
great
game
movie,
because
by the way.
I needed to come down from my anxiety-induced Celtics game that I've been having over the last month or so.
I
So
swear
calm
he's
has been a
saying
big
Doom.
part of my. So as much as I love the CSN or the NBC broadcast, I have to turn down Scal, and I have to turn up calm. I go to calm.com/garden to get 40% off, and I just sort of fade out a little bit, and then I come and I do the show with you nice people, and it's helped me a little bit. It's helped me get through the show, or at least it's allowed me to stay on the show, I should say.
The chat believes you've
People
been
have
saying
seen me.
the
Not
chat
on
really
calm.
believes you've been saying Doom.
I'll have to rewind the tape, see if I've been saying Doom. I
Definitely
think
said
I
Doom.
said Doom.
I'm pretty
I,
sure you said Doom a bunch.
I didn't say Doom. I know the movie is called Dune, but I'm going to have to go back and play it back.
I'm
Beach
pretty sure you
campfire.
said Doom like 5 times, and I kept
I
asking
can't
you,
even
Doom?
hear you over this beach campfire because it's so reminds me of being on the beach. Not a care in the
Doom?
world.
The
Not
movie
listening.
Doom.
Not listening to people tell me I said one thing when
Just
I know I
picture some
said
dude
something
shooting at
else.
him the whole
I'm
time.
just on the beach at a campfire. It's the
Like,
4th of
what?
July. There's
Why would
fireworks
that
going
be
off.
called?
Nobody's telling me I said Doom, and it's just a great night. And I'm not even thinking about the Celtics losing
This
the
is what
entire
Jimmy does
West
before he
Coast
goes to
trip
sleep.
It's
and
just
being in
one of the apps.
purgatory forever.
One of the apps is me and Jimmy just saying back and forth to each other, Doom, Dune,
Wait, I think you're
Doom,
saying Doom.
Dune. That's one of the
That's
sound
the one
Is it
effects.
Nick
Pam or
listened to in LA.
Pan? It feels confusion. Is it Pam or Pan?
You're saying Pan or Pam?
Pam.
It's a soft M. All right. And that was
One
the
more
com.
gripe.
So we've lost the com sponsorship, I guess.
Yep,
Apparently,
done.
after this,
That's it. Out the door.
everybody get your. Honestly,
Bounce
this
off
might be the last time we are sponsored by com. So go to com.com/garden right now.
Get
to
it
get
now.
40%
The
off while
discount
you
is
can.
gone. Yeah, the discount is gone.
You know what? You're gonna
one
want
more
it, like,
gripe.
especially with the holidays coming up or here.
As long
you know,
as your gripe is not with the sponsor, because we
maybe
can't
you're
do
going
any.
home. Maybe you're going to your significant others' families, and you're just like, oh my god, I just need to like calm down. I need to just. My mother-in-law's driving me
Just
crazy
calm
right
down.
now. I need to go to com.com. You know, it's the holidays. Your family kind of gets under your skin.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna
You can
we're
drown
gonna
him
log
up.
off in a minute. Hop right on com, but first I got one more gripe.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm
what
looking
really
at
This is
this.
the
what
bottom of the
really
list here.
grinds your
You
gears,
cross
Bobby?
everything off here.
This is the
Yeah,
segment
this
called
is-
"What Grinds Bobby's Gears."
I'm looking at the Suns record, 21-4, and Josue just brought up Devin Booker, and I said earlier just how funny this team was a couple years ago. What, 3 years ago? They were awful. Like, they just kept drafting the wrong guys. They were in a disgraceful place as a franchise. And now they're probably the favorites in the West. And all it took was one first-round pick, Kelly Oubre, and they flipped it right over to Oklahoma City, and they got
And
Chris
signing
Paul.
one of the 5 best point guards who's ever played.
I was
That's
gonna
how,
say.
no. They flipped.
Trading for, yeah.
Arguably
Yeah.
the greatest point guard ever.
And it cost
Wait,
nothing.
best point guard of our generation. Acquiring that guy, that was good.
And it
Yeah.
cost nothing. So sometimes, like, there's opportunity. I mean, that wasn't a slam dunk at the time. He was getting older. He was the expiring contract.
He was considered
So
kind
it's
of
a-
like a loser. Not like a
Yeah.
loser, but like he was just on teams and they never won. So
He got
like,
dumped by Houston. Thunder dumped him after a first-round exit. And
Right.
he ends up raising them to the top here. So it's not always about, like, finding the slam dunk, John. Like, you got to take some risks here. Move some stuff. That looked like a decent price to pay for Paul at the time. Now it's nothing.
It did, but I mean, I don't remember you charging to the front of the line saying, do it.
I don't know if you
Play
had the
for
pieces to
game.
do it salary-wise
Play
back
for
then.
game.
You know? Now you
We
do
never
have
talked
a
about
ton
trading
of...
for
You
Dame.
can make any trade in the NBA right now if you're the
It
Celtics
worked
with the
for them,
salary
but
they
it
have.
was a swing because of the age, because of the salary, and because the fact that you didn't know if you were re-signing him. It wasn't something that people were jumping ahead to do, which is fine, and it worked out great for them because it's exactly what tied everything together. Booker got serious. Ayton developed. You're getting good stuff out of Bridges, Cam Johnson. You know, some of the younger
Jake Crowder,
players.
the heart and soul of this
Crowder's
team.
a perfect fit.
Right?
A lot
John's
of
favorite
pieces
player.
He
fit.
was balling tonight.
But the pieces fit and your stars developed, and then literally you added a guy who ended up being MVP candidate.
Drafting came into that, too.
But I mean,
You're
you
right.
don't just
And you play in Phoenix. Great.
if they
Great
don't get
state,
Chris
great
Paul.
city.
Yeah, look, Bobby, if they don't get Chris Paul, they're the Celtics. Couple good young players, some decent parts, maybe play with a little bit more cohesion
You don't
and
have
heart.
Kyrie.
But they got lucky there with that deal that worked out as spectacularly as it did. You know, so but right. It's I mean, they're obviously, you know, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league right now.
Yeah, more opportunities might come in the offseason. Who
Probably one
knows?
team.
I just don't know what's going to change between now and the end of the regular season for this group.
How about the Warriors? They're just back. Just after like a really crappy year. They're just back, just like that.
They did some good stuff too. Risky trade for Wiggins. Worked perfectly. Drafted some good young guys. Developed guys. You talk about taking an off year.
Have
Getting
Stephen
a bad
Curry.
pick. Taking 2 years. Well, you know, Curry missed a year. They were terrible. They developed some guys during that year. Come back last year. They're not that great, but they keep developing guys. Now they have a pretty well-balanced team, starters and bench. Clay hasn't even stepped on the court.
Guys, everyone's got to stop saying tank in the chat. You can't have 2 players in their prime, entering their prime, who you're going to try to convince to spend their careers here and tank for 2-3 years.
Right,
So
and
we've
that's
talked
why
about this on. We've talked about this a lot.
Everyone's got to stop with the tank. You cannot tank with Jalen and Jason here unless you trade them.
We talked about this
Okay?
last year a lot.
And
when
then
the
you
Celtics
tank.
were there. Yeah.
So unless you want to trade Jalen and Jason, stop saying tank. Will not happen. You can't even do it by trading one of them for picks and future things, because then the other one's going to leave. You can't do it. This team can't tank. Stop saying tank. Okay, they're stuck in the middle, which is the worst place they could be because it's the hardest place to develop. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
you know, trading.
Jimmy, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna. We talked about this a lot last year because the Celtics were in a similar situation where it was very obvious that they weren't contending in that season for whatever reason it was after a given loss. And there's a couple times where we, you know, the idea of then if you're not going to make a trade at the trade deadline, then you got to go the opposite direction. You got to tank, and it's like you can't tank because you're going to lose the stars. You're going to lose the players. That's how you get them to not want to play for you anymore, or not enjoy being on the team or in the city or whatever the situation is. It's like, so you're kind of stuck in this middle ground where you're doing everything you can to try to win and try to make your stars happy, but at the same time, it's not good enough to win. So you're stuck in this sort of limbo that you're in now. But you can't just tank unless, like you said, tanking means doing what like the Rockets did or doing what the Thunder did, or you don't even. It's like you really have to
But
commit to tank. You can't tank with 2 stars.
here's the only way you can tank with the Stars, the way that the Warriors did. One of them
Injuries
is
and
an
stuff.
injury and he's out for a bit or the year, and then another one is kind of borderline. Let's say Tatum suffered an injury now and was going to miss the year, and Brown's 50-50 with the hamstring.
But that was a fake tank.
I'm saying you can kind of sort of slow play. It was like an Indianapolis Colts suck for
Yeah,
luck
Warriors
tank,
was a fake tank. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was almost like what the Patriots did last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You could tank bad enough, but things
That's
would
a
have to happen
strategic
to you.
tank.
It's strategic. It would the chips that I'd have to say, it's weird to say the chips would have to fall to have your best players get injured, but like short of that, if these guys are playing, you're not just going to lose.
But the biggest difference is with the Warriors is before they quote unquote tanked, they already knew that what they had was good enough to win a championship. You don't even have that in Boston. You're tanking and you don't even know what you're tanking for. You don't know what the result is going to be once the tank ends. The Warriors knew, okay, we'll get Steph back, we'll get Clay back, we have Draymond Green, we have Wiggins, we have a couple of these young guys, and we have a winning culture here. The Celtics, they can't just tank and assume that when like the dust settles, they're going to have an NBA championship caliber team. Yeah, we need a torn Mason.
Yeah, you're right. From
that solves all
Jimmy.
your problems.
If only we got that last year, we could have accelerated this whole process.
So John John brought up a scenario where you really do push all your chips to the table. You look for that deal this year, the one that I'm looking for, and
I need to go to bed.
We're done. We're done after this.
If it's not there, maybe you do trade Schroeder for a pick. Maybe you do trade Horford for something, and that leads to the.
You got it in.
Tank.
No, but I'm 100% for that because to me it's you are possibly contending for a shot in the finals or Eastern or Conference Finals appearance, or you're an also ran. If this is a 7, 8, 9, 10 team, you're done. You're one and done. What's the point? So absolutely,
trading Schroeder is trading, but you also understand this though. When you
you have 2 choices,
Schroeder,
Jimmy. You let him go.
When you trade Schroeder for a pick, though, hear me out. When you trade Schroeder for a pick, you're not tanking per se, but you're signaling to the team that you've given up on the season, and that's almost just as bad as tanking.
Yes, but the alternative is let another guy walk for nothing.
I think you can talk
killing you.
Right,
I
right.
The only way that works
is talk to Chase into it.
Jalen injury, it's either more severe than we think, or it's just the way it is now. He plays for a couple games, then he's out for 2 or 3 weeks. If that's the case, then it's understandable in some regard. It's disappointing, but if that's not the case, then yeah, I'm with you, Jimmy. I mean, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum are gonna be like, well, what are we doing here? If we're both healthy, why are we giving up Schroeder, who's a key piece of our offense?
Well, it's obvious he's not.
It's just such a sad. It's just such a sad visual being like Schroeder, like goodbye, my love. Like it's like one of those situations where you just know that he's.
Jimmy thinks Schroeder's in it for the long haul.
No, I know that it's not. I know it's not going to work out because of the financial situations. But it's almost like it's too good. It's just too good to be true. It's
You're enjoying it too much.
It's basically like, you know what, Schroeder, you need to go spread your wings on a team that's gonna win you a championship. We're not good enough for you here, man.
Whatever happened
go
to the song
do your
talk
thing.
on this show?
Thanks for everything, but
if some team is willing to give you a first-round pick for Dennis Schroeder,
of course, you make the trade because that's the smart thing to do. But you're also accepting the notion that you're not good enough, you're not going to be good enough. Getting good talent isn't even good enough with the guys you have. So it's just like a sad...
Josue's actually trying to fall asleep in his hoodie and hope we don't know.
Just trying to slowly disappear into nothing.
No, I think you guys know what I'm saying.
I think you guys know what I'm saying about that whole situation.
We do. Well, we'll wrap it up. It's late. You guys hung with us through the whole trip, so we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, quick.
Everyone who stayed up this whole trip pretty much.
One of the, I don't know the stats, maybe we can look it up later, but this has to be one of the worst West Coast trips in a while.
Probably since that Brad year, the first Brad year, yeah.
based
Which we
on
were
just
worried
the
Yeah.
about,
record.
right? Because we were like, wait, it's way too early for the West Coast trip. Not with these guys. Like this
had
should be right after the All-Star break, at
Yeah,
least.
it's usually February. I always felt they'd be on the
Right.
road. You had the circus coming to town or whatever.
Josue, I got a
Icecapades.
question for Josue. Best part of your trip out west. What'd you do? Give us
Best
a
part
little
of my
insight.
trip?
Don't tell us too much. But like,
No, nothing like that.
did you do
Probably
anything
catching up
like
with Marcus, honestly.
We could
I
text
thought
each other this after, right?
Marcus Morris
I-
Senior?
I thought we'd get a much better performance after that, but not so much. Marcus had a really, really tough night. So, but yeah.
You're talking about who? Which Marcus?
I don't
Oh,
even
smart,
think he heard. I don't even think he heard your question. He's just
Yeah.
saying stuff.
No,
right
I
now.
wanted to know. Like, yeah, no, I just thought.
He's so
I thought
tired.
maybe
he's
there's
just talking.
something about being out west that you'd be like, yeah, you know what?
No, I know what you're saying, Jimmy. No, Jimmy wants
we
to hear
crew-
like some
I
girl.
want to know
met
what
or something.
happened at
He's
like
trying to-
Malibu Beach or like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to
Jimmy's
know.
like, Jimmy
It
doesn't
was
want to
a
hear nothing about
back-to-back,
work.
Jimmy. They were working.
The chat
I'll have to-
knows.
I'll have to hit him up on the side.
Josue was like,
get the real details.
Marcus Smart. He
Yeah,
didn't hear a thing
yeah. It
you
was
said.
It was all just
Good
working
idea.
hard. Just working hard. Just working. Listen, I know you and Nick got into some stuff out there, so I'll have to dig around and I'll have the full report for the next postgame show.
Why does everyone assume that?
I'll have the full report. I'm gonna reach out
We
to my
grabbed
own
dinner with
sources.
Max. Actually, no, that was actually a funny story. That's
And
like
it will be on the
gonna
Cedric
tell it?
Maxwell podcast.
Hey,
Cedric Maxwell podcast.
Josue, you got a couple. You had a nice little podcast that you filmed out there.
yeah. Maybe you would.
Recorded
Maybe
with Max.
Maybe I'll share some
Maybe you'll post it.
some
Wow,
more stories on the
You
Share
really
it with the
sold it.
world. Share it
you
with
really
the world.
sold it. You really sold
episode's
it.
been out, man. Episode's booming. Also,
Oh,
check
good.
out my exclusive feature with Max.
Oh, good. Dude,
Heavy.com.
excellent. Also, just reminding everybody, com.com/garden, receive 40% off a Com premium subscription. Of course, you're going to do that in LinkedIn Talent Solutions.
Josue has a couple premium subscriptions. I heard.
Post your job for free, linkedin.com/garden. Head over there now. Limited time only. We are finished. We're finished. We're done. Thank you guys again.
We're out of here. Yeah, we gotta go.
We
Good
gotta
night,
go.
everyone.
I can't do this ever again. I'm out for I'm out for a week.
I don't even know when they play next, but
They're gonna be
Monday.
They
back
might be
tomorrow
there.
before you know it, pretty much.
Monday.
Monday.
All right.
That's it.
The
Celtics
Bucks.
1-4 on the
Bucks.
trip. You got some Bucks. You got some Warriors. You got some problems. So 13
Two
and 14
articles out
now.
tomorrow over here.
Nice.
Stay tuned for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
give us a little teaser. What's the headline?
We got a trade primer at BSJ, of course, as well as young guy stuff on the CLNS side. What's going on with these young guys? Why aren't they developing? Where's the opportunity? Why aren't they in Maine? We got that answer today as well.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Excellent.
Cool.
Good stuff. Bobby, CLNSmedia.com, Boston Sports Journal as well. JosueHeavy.com. Check out the Max situation. Jimmy
Yes. Head
Toscano.
to Heavy on Celtics on Facebook. Follow it.
Make sure you do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channels. We're back Monday in normal times. We'll have a full crew at the Garden again.
Normal
we'll have
time.
everybody rolling, and we'll see what happens. Maybe Jaylen Brown plays a basketball
Bucks,
game.
right?
Ooh.
Oh, Giannis gonna dunk them.
That'd be
through the net.
nice. That'd
Yeah.
be nice.
See y'all.